All right, now let's shift gears, talk a little Packers, Bears here. I'm excited to get into this. We've kind of held off a little bit. We're going to try to get into it a little bit later if we can do a show tonight. That's my goal. But I want to talk Packers defense against the Bears offense for a second, okay? And we're going to pop up the PFF preview here for you guys and gals just to kind of put it on the screen. When you look at the offense, boys, that's a lot of green on Chicago's side. They're playing really, really they're playing great. Top 10 offensive football. There's no denying that. All right, let's start at the quarterback position. Caleb Williams, 75.5. He is the 16th highest graded PFF quarterback as it sits today. That's where he is ranking currently. You got Swift in the background or in the backfield at running back at an 81.0. He's the 11th highest graded running back in the league as it sits right now. The big focal point, there's two big focal points of this offense. Luther Burden is a dog, and Colston Loveland is going to be a great tight end. Colston Loveland, 81.1. Luther Burden, 79.3. Luther Burden has just been a dominant force at the wide receiver position. Now, listen, it doesn't mean we got to like him, right? He's kind of, I don't want to say he's a dirty player, but he probably is a dirty player. He's one of those guys that tries to put a quarter in the defenders, right, constantly. But when we look at the draft from last year, we had Luther Burden as the third best wide receiver. I remember catching a little bit of flack like that. They felt like he was a little undersized. No, there's other better prospects. You know, a lot of people fell in love with the bigger receivers, and rightfully so, like your Jaden Higginses, your Trey Harris's, guys like that. But Luther Burden was a stud, man. Like I said, we had him at number 3. So our wide receivers in this order, we had Tet McMillan 1, Emeka Egbuka 2, Luther Burden 3, Matthew Golden 4 is how our wide receiver board. And I think they all fell pretty much in order too, if I remember correctly. I'm almost positive on that, which was really cool to see. And then, of course, after that, you had Jaden Higgins and Trey Harris. So Luther Burden, he's a stud. That's what this offense goes through. But the reason those guys are able to make those plays is this offensive line up front. From left to right, you got Trapillo, 70.0. Tooney, 79.4. There were a lot of fans that were like, what are they doing paying all that money for Tooney? He's old. Tooney's won multiple Super Bowls, and this dude is a vet's vet. When we talk about getting older as a team and trying not to be the youngest roster in the league, these are the type of players I'm talking about bringing in. You bring in one or two guys like that with some Super Bowl experience, you may have to overpay a little bit. As long as he's great, you're willing to overpay for great. You're not willing to overpay for good. You got somebody like in Tooney. Let's see if they actually overpaid for him. Look at those grades, guys. Seriously. And I know people were going – now, I want you to think about this when we get into the offseason, because there's going to be people who go, oh, he's too old. He's too old. Just like in the draft. Oh, they're too old, right? He is 33 years old, and look at how many snaps he's played this year, guys. He's played 1,149 snaps. And look at the PFF grades throughout his career. 65, 74, 77, 79, 74, 81, 78, 74, 80, 79. You got to tip your cap. That was a great signing by the Chicago Bears. Drew Dahlman, you guys know that was one of our top free agent. He was on our list, right? Again, PFF up to this year had him 78, 65, 82, 78. Center out of Atlanta. Let's go give him the bag. Let's go pay him. We talked about that. Why? Center's a position of tier 2 importance, right? So on offense, quarterback, tackles, then center, those in that order, right? Is a level of importance. This year, 77.5 is his PFF grade. And people probably thought, well, how old is he? He's 27 years old. Do you really want to pay somebody a 4-year deal? They're 27 years old. He has logged 1,154 snaps. I don't mean to sound like an ass here, but I get frustrated when people talk about, well, if you sign an older player, they're more likely to get hurt. Have we not seen so many rookie players get hurt? Like, think about that. Think about how many injuries we've had to deal with over the year. Like Zach Tom is a young football player, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't draft Zach Tom. I'm not saying you shouldn't look for the next Zach Tom, but that can happen just as much as a veteran. In some cases, veterans have more experience to stay out of harm's way, right? They know how to play. They know how to play with people around their feet. They know when to really amp it up and when to let off a little bit and protect themselves. That's just stuff that happens, right? So with that being said, yeah, there you go. Marshawn Lloyd, right? Another one. You go out. Well, we don't want to go out and get a 28-year-old running back because, he's older. He's going to be hitting the wall soon. Yes, he will. And the guaranteed money will be up, and then you can cut him loose. Well, we go draft a stud 21-year-old running back, right? Okay. Well, we know he'll stay healthy. He's young. Bet me, injuries happen. You gotta find the best players, the most proven players, and just go out there and build your roster that way. So it's disappointing for me as a Packer fan to know that we had our eyes on Dahlman and we really wanted him. I didn't have my eyes on Tooney. I'm not going to sit here and play Monday morning quarterback. I'm simply saying when people approached it like, look at all these old guys that are signed, like, can they play football? All right, cool. Old doesn't mean bad. Old means when I hear old, I don't hear here's a guy that might get hurt. Here's a guy that's close to the end. When I hear old and you go back and you look at his experience, all right, how often has he been healthy? How good has he been? Right? All those things. I look at that stuff and I go, okay. Old means experienced, right? Old means, well, he's proven he knows how to stay healthy, right? Old means locker room guy. Old means leadership, right? You got a young offensive lineman next to a young offensive lineman. It's the blind leading the blind. But when you got a veteran out there to help pull those guys along, that stuff can be huge. And again, nothing is like a slam dunk. This, you should go in 100% to do things this way. I'm not saying that. I'm just simply pointing out you need a good sprinkle of these guys into your roster for sure. And then, of course, I think this is Darnell Wright. Yeah, Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. There's a lot of people bashing him in the drafting process because he had a little bit of a different personality. I made a couple calls down here in Tennessee. I'm just about an hour and a half north of Knoxville. Emilio's a lot closer to me, but I made a couple calls that cover the UT Vols and asked about Darnell Wright, just like I did James Pierce Jr. You guys remember James Pierce Jr.? There was like, oh, worried about I'm pretty sure he was the player of the month this month. Dude had an awesome month down there. I think he's in Atlanta. But Darnell Wright was one of those guys that you look at in the draft process, and I thought he looked good. So 62, 79, 81 has been his PFF grades. He's a stud this year, 81.9. That's Zach Tom type grades, right? It is what it is. So Chicago has gotten the offensive line right, and that's why their offense, I think, is performing even better than ever. Now, DJ Moore should be good to go. He's a 65.8. Rome Odunze with a 70.8 PFF grade. Another receiver that's performing pretty damn well, right? And again, he was the draft pick last year, right? If I remember correctly, he was one of the top picks. So isn't it wild? You took a swing on Rome Odunze with the 9th overall pick, 70.8, not bad. Now he's battling some injuries, right? And then you get Luther Burden, second round pick 39. So Luther Burden actually fell below Matthew Golden. So we took Matthew Golden over Luther Burden. That's very interesting there, right? We took, and listen, Matthew Golden hasn't got near the amount of opportunities that Luther Burden has, in my opinion, in terms of targets, things like that. That'll come with time. But our board suggested you should have took Luther Burden over Matthew Golden. I'm glad we got Golden. I think Matthew Golden's going to be a stud football player. That's just my personal opinion. So that's a look at their offense. Now, how do they match up against our defense? Here we go. PFF grade-wise, guys, you look at who we've got available compared to theirs. There's a lot more green for them than there is us, right? Let's start up front. This is what PFF is showing as our starting defensive front from right to left from the defense's perspective. Enagbare, 63.6. Carl Brooks, 47.5. Lucas Van Ness, 75.5. They've got him listed as one of the interior pass rushers in our nickel 4-2-5. I love that. I hope they actually roll with that. In all honesty, it'll probably be LVN opposite of Rashawn Gary for the majority of the day, and you'll sprinkle in some of these other guys. I say majority of the day. You know how they do their heavy rotation. Everybody will get pretty similar snaps that they have in the past, right? Rashawn Gary, a 68.2 is what his PFF grade's at. We've talked about Gary. Packers, I think there's a reasonable chance the Packers move on from Gary after this year. If he's willing to take a pretty big pay cut, you'd like to have him back. I would love to have him back for the right pay cut because, again, he's been a good run defender. He's been one of those guys when you look at he leads our defensive line in run stops and quarterback pressures other than Micah, of course. So he's still doing what he's done. But you can see the trend now, right? 89, 82, 79, 73, 68. Looks like Rashawn Gary's best football is behind him. He's played 652 snaps this year. You can kind of see the snap count. It has started to – it's kind of tapered down. Now, the one that he had the least amount of snaps in was week 12 where he only had, 32 snaps. And then last week he had 34 snaps, so that's pretty close, right? However, as recent as week 13, he did have 44 snaps in that game. Now, you can see at the beginning of the year, a lot more snaps, right? You have what? 47 snaps. And then you had, 43 snaps. And then you drop down to however many that is, 44 snaps. You can see it kind of blimps back up week 7 and starts to taper off again. Writing's kind of on the wall. It looks like Rashawn Gary at 28 years old starting to run out of gas. Now, the contract's structured in a way that you can move on this year if you want to. You can free up $10 million if you just cut him outright. But if you can restructure and get him back for the right price, I think that's the approach they'll take. We'll probably hear about that fairly early in the offseason. We'll kind of get an idea of whether or not they're going to bring him back. But nonetheless, Gary with the 68.5. What you're looking for, guys, are your players to grade out in the 60s. What you want to stay away from are those 40s, right? 40s are the big killer. 50s are bad. Don't get me wrong. 40s is like, all right, what the hell are we doing here? Okay. So Kobe Wooden, in my opinion, will be the defender right here where Carl Brooks is. Now, if we switch it up the base, it may show him in there. 49.8. Now, some of the other stats, a run stop, suggest that's a low grade for Kobe Wooden and how he's actually played this year. But again, who else are you going to put on the inside? Baron Sorrell, you can mix and match there a little bit too. But when you're in your base 4-3, probably going to be Kobe Wooden and Carl Brooks. They'll sprinkle in some Warren Brinson, maybe a little Nas Stackhouse will be the approach you take, especially against Chicago, who, listen, guys, they're going to go to a 12 personnel. And when they do, that's Cole Kmet at a 65. Cole Kmet's a solid football player. Cole Kmet's the 34th highest graded tight end in the league right now. Colston Loveland is sitting in that 6th spot, right? So just wanted to point that out in the base package. That's what it looks like. Let's go back to nickel for a second. So Carl Brooks, weak spot in the defense. Where's the next 40 at? It's our boy Quay Walker, 48.5. Now, I know there's a lot of people that disagree with the PFF grade. I think it's extremely low. And just theoretically speaking, watching the tape for me personally, looking at the tape and how Quay plays, I think it should be somewhere in the 50s. So I think they're a little bit cruel to him with that 48.5, but I don't think he is a starting caliber stack backer with the way he's played. I've seen enough. I have. Now, the Packers offered him a contract. We don't know how much that is, right? Maybe we'll find out that number soon enough, but he did not accept that, which tells me they see his value significantly lower than he sees it. I would be okay with bringing Quay Walker back for the right price. $5-6 million per. That's where I'm down to now, guys. The defense played better with Isaiah McDuffie in the lineup. Like if we go to our base, let's see what it throws in here. There's McDuffie, 69.4. He's the 30th highest graded linebacker. That is a starting caliber linebacker. That's a number 1 caliber linebacker. You know, obviously there's only 32 teams. So if you spread them out evenly across the league, he would be a guy that would be a starting stack backer on one of the, bottom 2 teams that go last if you were doing like a fantasy draft for a player, right? So again, I would like to see McDuffie out there over Walker. That's just me. Will it happen? No, it won't. I think they'll still put Walker out there. I hope that they continue to give McDuffie a shot to play ball out there, though, too, and Tyron Hopper as well. It just feels like the defense played better with McDuffie out there. That's just my personal opinion. Also, I feel like McDuffie is a better run defender than Quay Walker. Like when we look at run defense here and the run defense grade, 69.0 for Isaiah McDuffie. He's actually been really good in the pass rush when they have fired him on a mock blitz, 71.4 pass rush grade. Coverage grade is 63, so he's definitely more of a run stopper than a pass defender. When you look at Quay's coverage grade has been a 44.9. His pass rush grade is a 62. His run defense grade, 54.5. So, again, I think Quay Walker, this is probably his last year in Green Bay. I think there's a decent chance he hits free agency and they don't bring him back, right? Now, the stud in this stack backer room is obviously Edgerrin Cooper. Last year had an elite 85.6, took a step back this year to a 75.7. Boys, that's a pretty good sophomore slump when you go to a 75.7. But if you're wondering, why did he dip? Last year, if I remember correctly, his pass rush grade was through the roof. Why? We were doing those simulated pressures we talked about, right? The fire zone blitzes, the coffee house looks. I expect that to amp back up. Therefore, his overall grade will increase as well. So with the pass rush grade, they probably got him doing a little touch spine from time to time. I've noticed that a little bit on the tape. Like it'll look like he's firing, but actually it's like what we call a green dog. And if the running back is showing a little hesitation, like he's going to leak out in the flat, then he can't just all out blitz. A green dog blitz is you're blitzing if the running back stays in, which that's supposed to be your assignment. It could be a match call, a zone match call. It could be just a straight man coverage call. But your guy's a running back. He's staying in the block. Once you know, okay, he's definitely staying in the block, you fire off in blitz too. So in some cases, he's starting to fire, watching a running back. Oh, crap, he's going to leak. And now he's just kind of surveying the situation, if you will, right? So I think that's why you've seen the pass rush grade go down, because they let Micah kind of eat this year, and they just bring their normal pass rush and drop 7 into coverage. With Micah being out through the playoffs, don't be surprised if you see Edgerrin Cooper rush a little bit more, okay? And again, it doesn't mean we're blitzing 5. It just simply means you might fire him and then drop Enigbari into coverage, right? Or drop LVN into coverage and run a little coffee house look. So again, Edgerrin Cooper, the best backer on this team. I'd like to see him go out and try to replace Quay Walker, whether it's in free agency for a decent player, or maybe even try to utilize the draft again. Remember, you found Edgerrin Cooper in the second round, right? If I remember correctly. Yeah, 45th overall pick in the second round. In terms of DBs and how they're going to match up against these receivers, everybody likes to pile on the DB room. I don't think the DB room is the problem, right? The biggest issue we have with the defense, in my opinion, is in the middle up front, and I've been very vocal about this, right? Carl Brooks, Kobe Wooden, those guys, they're just not good enough. They're not dominant three. There's no dominant 3-tech on this team. Even when Devontae Wyatt was out there, he wasn't a dominant 3-tech. He was I feel good saying a very good pass rusher, very good to great pass rusher, not so much in run defense. Just my personal opinion. All right. You want a dude that's a force in there that teams are constantly having to throw a double team on. Now they got to choose between Micah and him. So another thing, when you talk about the pressure rate that Nick McSwain was talking about in the chat earlier, another reason that's dropped is because your best interior pass rusher in Devontae Wyatt's on IR, right? As soon as he leaves, those numbers go down as well. Probably warranted a little extra attention inside that was freeing up other stuff for other people. But nonetheless, you're hoping that LVN can come in and kind of help fill that void a little bit when they do kick him inside from time to time. But back to the DBs, Carrington Valentine, 65, Javon Bullard, 64, Keyshawn Nixon, 67, right? So what you've got there, guys, is a room full of number 2 corners. There's no corners there that's grading out like a top 32 corner. So again, you can scheme around that. I could care less about having a true number 1 corner, right? A guy that's a shutdown corner. I don't think that's as important as people think, because you're not going to play predominantly man coverage. Therefore, they're going to take away the number 1 target. Those days are gone in Green Bay. You might do it occasionally, but you're going to be kind of playing guys at left and right. Now, obviously, our boy Trevon Diggs is not on this list. He's graded out bad on the year in the 50s. However, his one game with Green Bay, he graded out in the 80s. So I would list him as our number 1 corner, but I still don't look at Trevon Diggs as a shutdown corner by no stretch of the imagination. So what you'll probably see here, if Bullard is good to go and playing on Saturday night, tomorrow night, it's wild that it's already here, right? Tomorrow? Yeah, Saturday night. If Bullard plays, he'll be in the slot, okay? And you're going to see, I think what you're going to see is Trevon Diggs on the right side where Valentine is, and you'll have Keyshawn starting on the left. And they might be a little bit of a rotation, but I think that's the role. That's what they're going to go with. Now, if for some reason Bullard gives it a go, or if he can't go, pregame, nope, can't do it. So they just, deactivate him or what have you, right? He's not listed as active in our pregame show. If that happens, you're going to see Nixon, I think, kick into the slot, and then you'll probably put Trevon Diggs on the left side. That's interesting, because Trevon is predominantly played on the right side where Carrington's at. So if he's forced to play to the left, might not get the best version of Trevon Diggs. That's just something else to put in the memory bank there, okay? And then, of course, at the safety position, man, these are the unsung heroes. You want to know why the run defense is kept up all year long, why they played really, really well? It's because of the safeties and how they played to run. Xavier McKinney, run defense grade, 82.7. His overall PFF grade is 80.6. He's the 9th highest graded safety. He's a stud, continuing to do his thing. Again, run defense grade 82.7. Evan Williams is one of those guys that did not play against the Bears in that last game we played them, right? If I remember correctly. He didn't play in that game, and that's a big loss. What does Chicago do really, really well? They run the freaking football, right? That's their bread and butter. They want to run the rock, and they do it very, very well with that 2-headed monster in Monangai and Swift. Now, with that being said, look at Evan Williams' run defense grade, 82.1. We've kind of come full circle. So throughout the draft process, I remember when we drafted Evan Williams on our draft show, our live draft coverage, we immediately pulled up his college tape, and we started looking at the highlights. And the thing that stood out to me was, man, he's a hell of a run defender. And, boy, he harassed the heck out of Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams' last game that he played against Evan, which Evan was with Oregon, if I remember correctly. So it was like, great run defender. Where's the passing game highlights? Where are the picks? Where are the PBUs? I was a little down on his coverage. Like, okay, he's going to be a good run defender, but he's going to be down on coverage. Last year, he shut me the heck up, right? He played great in coverage last year. This year, I don't think he's been bad. A 63.6 is his coverage grade. And I apologize if the stream starts lagging a little bit. I'm going to pull up another site real quick. Let me know in the chat, is there any lagging in my camera right now? I did some optimization to the computer. As I'm scrolling through these real quick, let me know in the chat if there's any lagging whatsoever. I'll try to take a peek. I appreciate the feedback there. So what I'm going to do is off to the side, pull up DBs over on NFL Pro. All right, we're going to go qualified defenders only, and we're going to go passer rating when targeted. Let's see what his passer rating when targeted is. This year, Xavier McKinney is 6th best in the league with a 40.0 passer rating allowed, okay? And then you've got our boy, where is he? Where's Evan Williams? So Evan Williams, he seems to be a little lower on the list here. Going on down. Where are you? So I thought you were higher than that. Are you serious? Is he really that low? Give me just a second. We got to find him here. Evan Williams, there you go. 96.8 amongst all defensive backs. This includes cornerbacks and safeties. Evan Williams' passer rating when targeted has dipped to a 96.8. That's 133rd best. So his coverage has not been great this year. But again, when he's on the football field, this defense plays awesome. I mean, he plays awesome. So, again, run defense is his strength. We kind of knew that going out, coming out of the draft when he was taken. But still, when you're grading out a 72 and a 70, that's solid PFF grades. I want to see him take that next step next year, though. I want to see him crack into the 80s and stay into the 80s. That would be absolutely awesome if he could pull that off. So again, Evan Williams, another vital part of stopping the run here against the Chicago Bears. So again, what do you have with the Chicago Bears? Their strength as a team is their offense. Their defense is cheeks, other than taking the ball away. They're best in the league at taking the football away, right? Forcing turnovers. In terms of passing defense, running defense, they're outside of the top 25. I think they're 28th in both, 28th and 27th, maybe around that mark. So again, if you protect the football, you should be able to move the football on this team. If you protect the football, you win the turnover differential. I like our chances of winning this game in Chicago. I think it's going to be a lot closer than some people think, though. Right now, the Packers are 1-point favorites. In terms of the most recent money that's in on this, 69% of the public, 69% of the money that the public's betting on this game is on the Bears plus 1.5. Now, you guys know that when 60% or more of the public's money is on one side of the spread, it more times than not, to the tune of like 4 out of 6 times, the house wins that bet, meaning the team that less money is on, in this case, the Packers at 31% and minus 1.5, it would suggest you have a better chance of the Packers covering that 1.5 point spread than the Bears winning plus 1.5. Again, it's not a slam dunk, but just an interesting little nugget there of how the house kind of dominated. They have in the regular season this year. They've dominated. Doesn't mean it's going to happen in the playoffs. It's a whole different ballgame now, right? So that is a quick little preview of the Packers, Bears, obviously the Bears offense and the Packers defense, how they match up. Let us know in the comments if you're watching this back later. How do you feel about this matchup? How do you feel this game's going to go? Are you feeling comfortable as a Packer fan? Is this something that, I don't like the way this one's shaking out? We want to hear from you in the comments. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. I see a little bit of Malik Willis talk. And thank you so much, Joseph. Appreciate you, buddy. He said no lag on my end. Good deal. I was getting reports that it was lagging a little bit. The camera was yesterday, and I went through and tried to clean some stuff up. Emilio helped this dumb redneck get some stuff cleaned up. Every show that we do, I have to download the audio, upload it to, a website for all the podcast listeners. The videos I try to break down into segments. If you'll notice, we'll do segments in case you guys don't have time to tune in live. You just want to catch one segment, a 10-minute video. We got that at your disposal. We're trying to make it as convenient as everybody's possible. But all that stuff was still on my PC, so I had to go through and clean all that up and all that stuff. Just try to optimize a little bit. But thank you so much for that. J. Cole said, that's just what we need, another receiver, LOL. I'm just trying to catch up with the chat here a little bit. So it looks like the talk about Malik Willis, Steve knows the policy, says we will have to tag him first. And I think they're talking about trading Malik Willis, right? We can only trade him if we franchise tag him. That is correct. I do not see a situation, guys, where you franchise tag Malik Willis. You don't have the cap room to carry that for the time being. That's a real – I mean, I would love to see it, be able to trade him for a second-round pick or a first-round pick. That'd be absolutely awesome. I think it's going to be something that we're just going to have to kind of bite the bullet. He's going to hit free agency. We'll get a comp pick in 2027 will be my guess. We got Rob in here from GBP Daily. What's up, Rob? Good to see you, buddy. He says Packers 31, Bears 20. I need that in my life, sir. I need that. I need us to go into Chi-Town and beat them by a couple scores. That would be absolutely awesome, man. That would be awesome. Joseph in the chat. Edgerrin, pick 6 tomorrow. Give it to me, man. Are you serious? Edgerrin Cooper with a pick 6. He said, I'm calling my shot. I love it, dude. I need that energy too. So let's see what Cannonball John says. Don't force those needle throws. Get one-on-one with Dobbs and Watson and go, Pack, go. And run the rock, right? Josh Jacobs is the healthiest he's been in 6 weeks. If they load the box, throw it all over the yard. If they don't, and they just kind of play it vanilla, play it normal, run the ball down their throat, man. But I'm with you. Look at it. Steve in the chat says Diggs pick 6. How cool would that be, man? That's what Diggs' superpower is. He's got great hands. He's got great size. He can read the ball well. He's a former 4-star receiver before they switched him to cornerback. Before Derek Ansley switched him to cornerback, our passing game coordinator was the secondary coach for Trevon Diggs at Alabama, along with Xavier McKinney. Pretty cool how that all ties together there, right? Yeah. 55 Reaver says, got to agree on no turnovers, and it's a Packers win. Amen to that. Amen. I think that's where it's going to come down to. Chris the Casual says, Malik Willis red zone QB1 Saturday night. How cool would that be? Hey, I see what you're doing there, Chris. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a little package where they throw Malik Willis in there. You get inside the 5, where we really inside the red zone in general. It's just a tough sell to take Jordan Love off the field at any point for me, man. I mean, for how many snaps he's played this year, and I've already got it dropped down, but I'll kind of pull it up off to the side here real quick. For how many snaps he's played this year, and we'll do an offensive breakdown tonight. So he has played 890 snaps this year with an 88.5. I mean, this dude has played so freaking consistent this year. It's just hard to take Jordan Love off the field for me, man. I understand where you're coming from, Chris, but I think I would have to disagree if you're telling me, all right, when you get inside the 20, pull Jordan Love off the field, put Malik Willis in. I would be excited if they did it. Like, oh, boy, let's see how this goes. But I want Jordan Love out there. I want him out there reading the defense. I want him out there putting us in the best position possible. He's played such good football this year. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it. We're going to get out of here. Appreciate everybody jumping in. If you would, hit like, hit subscribe, click the bell icon. Thanks to everybody in the live chat for jumping in on short notice. And we'll probably be back later when we get a little bit more breaking news. Anything breaks like this John Eric Sullivan one did, I was like, man, told Mandy, got to get upstairs, got to talk to the guys about this, the guys and the gals about this. We'll see what everybody's take is on it. So we want to hear from y'all in the comments about that. And I'll try to get the guys together maybe tonight. We'll see at some point. I'll try to post it in the Patreon group. I've been doing that a little bit better. In the general chat, we got multiple chats over there. I'll try to let y'all know, hey, we're going to go live at this time. Hey, about to go live. That just give y'all a little heads up there in that regard. But I do know this, the channel does notify you if you've got the bell icon clicked. It will let you know like 30 minutes in advance before we're going to go. So I'll try to give everybody 30 minutes notice at least moving forward. So appreciate everybody. Hit that like button for us. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack, go.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.